This week, we provide an update on the situation in China as the volume of containers getting released ramps up, leading way to the first set of new raw material pricing. Our VP of Asian Operations has advised that cold storages in Dalian are now releasing up to 40 containers per day, which is a much-needed lift from the 10 containers being released per day just 2 weeks ago. If you are just tuning into the issues in China, they all seem to stem from raw materials being held at ports and further delays from COVID disinfection and testing of containers being passed through to the cold storage. Although the release of more containers is welcome news, it is still only a small percentage of raw materials required by processing plants. One of the largest production plants in China still requires over 20 containers per day to fulfill orders to meet the demands of the market. As trampers are still prohibited from entering China, our sources have advised that some trampers are actually heading to Korea or back to Russia to reload onto containers just to be shipped back to China. In fact, we've been told a lot of product from Russia and Alaska have been going to Korea first and then shipped back to China in 3 to 5 containers at a time. As if strained raw materials wasn't enough to deal with, we are now learning that plants are also incurring huge additional costs for products they have already paid for. Costs for disinfecting, detention, and cold storage. Costs that will ultimately be spread throughout the entire supply chain. These costs amount to about $200 US minimum per ton on finished goods, with some containers reaching as high as $400, which can translate to around 20 cents per pound on finished goods.
Today I'm going to be using sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay in Alaska. I'm starting with a lovely piece of salmon, and this one is about 2 pounds. Here are the ingredients for the brine. Half a cup of kosher salt, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, half a cup of water, and now my secret ingredient, a half cup of gin. Mix all of the brine ingredients, then throw them in a Ziploc bag along with the salmon. Give it a bit of a massage and then get it into the fridge for 2 hours. After 2 hours, remove the salmon from the brine, pat it dry with a paper towel. Place the salmon on a tray or rack for easy removal, and then put it into a 200-degree smoker for about 1.5 to 2 hours. After an hour and a half, brush the salmon with good quality maple syrup, which is going to give it a beautiful shine, and then smoke it until it reaches 140 degrees internal temperature, or until you can easily flake the meat away with your fingers. And there you have it. Gorgeous, gin-brined, maple-glazed, hot-smoked Bristol Bay sockeye salmon with all the fixins.
Official raw material prices are getting released and are higher than reference pricing from a few weeks ago. For Pacific cod, Alaskan trawl frozen at sea is now about $3,200 per metric ton, or $1.45 per pound US, and Russian frozen at sea is $28.50 or $1.30 per pound US. For pollock, plants are starting to receive raw material pricing, but in very small volumes, and pricing has now increased from $11.50 per metric ton to $1,400, with indicators that pricing is set to increase even further to $1,500. For sole, pricing is currently set at $1,500 per metric ton, or 70 cents per pound US, for medium-sized fish, and is able to go to China in containers, but is very slow to clear customs. Our recommendation is an echo of what we advised a few weeks ago. That is, to call us before making your next purchase, as it is an extremely challenging time in uncharted waters right now. Although pricing is higher, so is the demand for seafood products, as retail industry experts are calling for an even bigger year for seafood sales. As such, every purchase decision should still be made on a case-by-case basis right now. If you are not already, please be sure to subscribe to our 3-Minute Market Insight using the sign-up form below to keep tuned in to all upcoming market insights. Thank you for joining me for the Tradex Foods 3-Minute Market Insight. This has been Kyla Ganton, reminding you to stay safe, buy smart, and eat more seafood.